Greetings, friends from around the world, and welcome to another adventure. It always is an adventure when we go to Raising Living Encores, a new generation for the Stanley Jones legacy as a part of the radio school. And thank you for your patience. We're back, and we have another important program for you. And so please join us as we hear some good news about what God is doing in our ministry on behalf of the Stanley Jones Foundation and the people of India. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Stan Hustad, and we're back with Raising Living Encores, a new generation of the Stanley Jones legacy, part of the Stanley Jones radio school. And we are continuing, pressing on with our mission to not only make sure that there are people who understand that even after a half century of his passing, the man Stanley Jones and what he did. And just again today, here I am. Oh, there it shows better now on the camera. Okay, here it goes. How to Be a Transformed Person by E. Stanley Jones. And there I have my red pencil. Yeah, my red pencil. And what I love to do, and I would encourage you to do as you read him, I just mark my books up. First of all, there is so much I just want to remember. Some of the one-liners are striking, but I know that perhaps that someday my children will probably come into my studio and office and start going through Dad's books. Now, of course, going through all that stuff, you hope that they won't throw everything away, but if they come upon my collection of Stanley Jones books, and I will tell them about that they might say, and look through it and find out some of the books and some of the messages and some of the things that were important to me. Now, right now, they're not really that interested in what's important to me, but, they'll be older, and maybe they'll be willing to actually say, I wonder what got Dad excited about this. And that way, the encore, the living adventure, thanks to Ann Matthews, has done with putting together the Stanley Jones Foundation, and now is just about completing her lifelong mission of republishing both in bigger print and revised and edited editions of the Stanley Jones books. And I think we're coming up to just about the end as we look forward to accomplishing that role. And then what we want to do is we want to take these books that were published and get them on the mass modern media. Yeah, the mass modern media on the internet, so that they'll be there both in written and in audio form for generations. That's what we're hoping to do, so that long after you and I are both gone, it will still be possible for people to find out more about the man, the mission, the message of Stanley Jones. And so we press on. And I thank you. We have been encouraged by some support that has come to us. And for that, we're very grateful. And we're hoping that many of you will do so as we are moving forward with even better news. Now, what Ann has told me is this. Not only is the biography, the final book, coming out, but she has also put together some of the top-notch, these are sermons of Stanley Jones that are incredibly just full of wisdom, insight, and truth. And that has been collected, and she said, Stan, it's quite a doorstop book. It's big and thick, but has a lot of wonderful information in it. Now, our hope is that we might even take that book and make it into an audio as well as the sermons. And it could be that through the technology that we now have, since we have been able to use the technology to duplicate the Stanley Jones voice, all of you know of some of those possibilities, is that we'll be able to take maybe even the sermons themselves and through the technology actually have it in an audio form, and it would sound very much, obviously it's all electronic and it's different. It would perhaps have some of the same ring and some of the same sound and intonation of the man Stanley Jones itself. Uh, in effect, bringing the message to life, and that's been my goal in life. I I'm a man who loves to read books. I like to read books, share books, and then give them away. And I've done lots of that. But I'm a broadcaster. That's what has motivated my life ever since I was a young man. And so I've done thousands of radio programs. And what I really love to do is to take something that's been written and turn it into something that can really be heard and experienced and felt. And so that's a part of what we are all about. But then Anne gave me some other good news. And many of you know, we've kind of changed the mission. What we are trying to do now is bring together so that the next generation of men and women who will lead the Remember Stanley Jones movement, that they actually be of Indian descent or of the Indian diaspora, or actually from the nation of India itself. That the people that, in effect, turned it all on as they experienced the message of Stanley Jones in India, that we can have a point and a part of helping that go and grow. And so she let me know that one of the young men and family, he's got a support of a family that helps him in ministry. They may have the ability to come and be able to locate themselves in the United States, not necessarily leaving India permanently, but coming to the United States to work with us, both to work in the ministry to the millions of Indians who live in the United States, but of course to help us in the podcast movement, where we actually do programs about Stanley Jones, produced by and spoken by people of India. And of course, not only to make them in Indian English, as opposed to American English, is what I'm all about, but then of course to put them into the various national languages. Obviously Hindi, but then, there are a variety of languages that are national to different ethnic parts of India. And there are millions of people in those languages. And to bring the message of Stanley Jones and his books into those languages, I will not be able to achieve all this. I'm reminded of a man named Os Guinness who said that if you really have a calling in life, it's something that will take more than a lifetime. That's okay. I've discovered that, perhaps as another friend told me, is sometimes it's not just what you achieve, it's maybe more important what you put in motion, what you started. And I remember a good friend of mine who unexpectedly died. But after he unexpectedly died, and it was such a shock, a stroke that took his life, but there was no real indication that that would happen. But he had also said that to me as he worked so hard to put together different ministry organizations. And Stan, I'm in the business not of finishing things. I'm in the business of helping to start things and help other people carry them on. And we are very much in that idea, very much believe that that's what Ann and I talk about. That's what we're called to do, to raise up living encores. So after we're gone, these younger men and women of Indian descent and language and culture will carry on the message of Stanley Jones. And as I said, I'm very grateful for the support. I hope that this will become something that will be a real national and international expedition adventure to make this happen. So I thank you for that. By the way, I would also just give you a nice aside because it's talking about the power of the spoken word. Many of you are familiar with Reverend Leonard Sweet, who is a longtime supporter of the ashram and the other ministries of Stanley Jones. I've had the opportunity to listen to many of his messages. I haven't met him in person yet. That hopefully will happen. But I was introduced a year or so ago to a message that he did, which it was very appropriate. So I listened to it again, in which he, in his very clever and wonderful and humorous way, talked about that uh, the proverbial Good Friday service of the 7 last words of Jesus, and we've all heard messages like that, and I've been blessed by them. But he came at it as a little bit of an iconoclast and said, maybe it's not the 7 words, maybe it's the 3 stories and a song. And I remember last Easter hearing that. It was about an hour-long video, and if any of you would like to acquire that, either Ann or I, you can reach out to us, and we have it available. I'm sure Leonard has it available too, if you happen to know of him and his organization. Wonderful work. And he's written a new book that is obviously coming out, and we're going to be talking about that pretty soon too, because it's important, because it's new ways of looking at Jesus. And his stories of the 3 stories in the song were just, I listened to them again, and I listened to them again, took notes, and I thought, my goodness, isn't it fun to get new views? We've obviously heard stories of Jesus most of our lives, but to get a new and fresh and vital way to see Jesus, the man, and the mission, and the message. As someone has pointed out, we really don't have a very complete biography of him at all. We just have actually a small sampling of stories about him. It will be, as someone said, it will be really neat to get him and meet him fully. And here, to use the old term that Paul Harvey used as a radio broadcast, Jesus, tell us the rest of your story. There were things we'd like to know about you that we didn't get just in the testimonies of your disciples. I think we'll be fascinated by that. I'm looking forward to that. Please tell me a story, Jesus. Tell me more. Tell me more. Thank you for listening to me on this. I'm going to ask you again if you will be supportive of this outreach, particularly pray as this young man is going to be interviewed in India, and to see if his application to be able to serve here in America will be approved. We are in a multitude of prayer thoughts, and we'll share more about that so that this young man and his wonderful family will be able to come to India and be the people who will give leadership to perhaps the foundation. Certainly, I will be happy to help him turn and take this radio school ministry and make it worldwide. I'm going to, as I often said, we were told when we were missionaries, the purpose of a missionary is to lose their job, to get fired. Is that we've raised up other men and women who will then take over, so that the missionary can go home, because the people have the ability, have the energy, and even greater ability, because it's in their culture, to carry on the ministry that perhaps we got started, or at least got going in some way. So thank you for your time. Please reach out to me at stan@witradio.net, stan@witradio.net. Reach out to Ann at the eStanleyJonesFoundation.org, eStanleyJonesFoundation.org. And please keep in touch. Thank you again for your support and your giftings. we're very, very happy about that. And then I got final good news is that our dear friend Roberto Escamilla, uh, many of you know him. Of course, all of us know him. And can you believe this? One of the original encores of Stanley, he's written another book, maybe a couple books. And Anne said to me, Stan, I'll be sending you a copy of Roberto's books, and we have to talk about them. They are really neat and sweet, and I can hardly wait to get Roberto's new books, Beacon books, I guess they're called, and to read them, and we'll be talking about them on the program in episodes yet to come. Thank you so much. I'm very grateful for all that you do. And I would ask you to pray for me and my family. What we have discovered is that as we do more and more work in things that we believe are important for God, you know what happens. It seems that the enemy of your family, spirits, and souls kind of picks up the energy to try and derail you and perhaps make things difficult for you. So we have, my wife and I have had some of those elements of our life in the last year and a half, and we'd be grateful for your prayers for us and for our children. As we pray for us all, Lord Jesus, bless us all, everyone. Keep us safe from the evil one. Bring peace on earth and goodwill to men. And please be with us as we seek to do the right thing to raise up living encores for the Stanley Jones Radio School Project. Best and blessings to you all. Till next time. Bye for now.